Good evening, everyone. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Good Friday. Thank you, Father God, for today. Oh, we get to begin. Well, we've already every day, hopefully, begun the celebration of our relationship with Christ and the sacrifice. But specifically, we've had Lent. We have Palm Sunday, and now we're at Good Friday, and then Resurrection Sunday is coming up. So happy Good Friday to everyone. I'm excited. This is the final Women's History Month spotlight all month long, March, which is Women's History Month. I've been highlighting various women who are trailblazers, who are leaders in their own right, who are mentors, coaches, making a difference in the lives of so many people, but specifically other women. They have journeyed through challenges and overcome and put themselves out there to be conduits for others, to grow, to build, to have a relationship with God, to walk into their next, to find out their purpose, and so many other things. And so I'm actually speaking about our guest this evening, but there have been so many others throughout the month. And I want to shout out. We talked about her last night. I think many people have talked about her through the month because she is mentor to many. And she is my personal mentor and has been for quite some time. When I talk about women who push me out from behind the scenes, I love being in the kitchen behind the scenes, and those women who sort of encourage you to step out from the shadows and walk into the light, because your light, the light of Christ through you, is a light that will shine onto others. And so when you give yourself permission to shine the light of Christ on others, shine your gifts and skills and talents on others, then somebody else has that permission to do the same. And so Dr. Saundra Wall Williams is the CEO of WMS Leadership Solutions, an award-winning professional development, consulting, and training firm dedicated to nurturing emerging and establishing women leaders. As the CEO, Dr. Saundra is renowned for her specialization in leadership training and mentorship, imparting valuable insights to empower women leaders to excel in their respective fields. A dynamic keynote leadership speaker, Dr. Williams captivates audiences across all levels of leadership with her engaging talks. Her portfolio includes the delivery of numerous workshops, coaching sessions, keynotes, seminars, and training programs, all meticulously designed to instill effective leadership strategies. Her overarching goal is to educate, equip, and empower women in leadership roles, enabling them to not only lead exceptionally, but also live their best lives. And I just want to add to that Dr. Saundra has completely been a gift. I say there are people that I prayed for and God sent them my way. He knew exactly what I needed. And this woman is one of those people that I know. I was like, Lord, why do I deserve it? But thank God I do. He blessed me with her, and I'm so glad to spotlight her this evening. So for those of you who are out there, please share the broadcast. I know it's Friday, but we are going to spotlight this woman, and so many people need to know who she is. So share out the broadcast, and thank you for joining. Let's welcome Dr. Saundra Wall Williams. Good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Welcome, welcome. So we got some Dr. Saundra Wall Williams is fire. Yes, G. Jacqueline Jeter.
Yeah.
Good evening, Kimberly Russell. Good evening, Pastor Darlene. Yes, fire. So thank you all for joining. So welcome, Dr. Saundra. I'm so glad to have you.
I am so glad to
Yes.
be here. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. You forgot to put in your bio that you are a grand council member of the Praying CEO. So I'm just going to add that.
Just add that in there. I'm sorry.
It needs to be in the bio. But
Yeah, it needs to be in the bio.
Our grand council members are those who mentor me. And as a result, that trickles down to others. And so they lend themselves to mentor the ladies of the Praying CEO who are putting God first at the helm of our businesses. We have businesses or aspire. So that's the Grand Council. So I'm so blessed to have Dr. Saundra on that council. So did I miss anything? Is there anything we need to add to your intro?
Well, I am very proud that I am a wife of 34 years to Dennis Williams, mother of an adult son, and a minister of the gospel.
Yes, you are. All of that. And, when I think about, so a lot of people, and I want to encourage those watching, a lot of people feel like they're too this, too that, too old, too woman, too whatever, to start, to do anything. And I want to say that you encourage people to move forward in their assignment, no matter what stage, what age, what have you. What is it that made you be able to so clearly understand now what your assignment is to push people forward, to be a leader and a coach and a mentor?
That is a good question. It took me a long time to actually say that my assignment is, and then say what it is. Because I was at one point in time in my life, Kimberly, I was trying to be like two different people. You have minister of the gospel over here, and then you have corporate CEO. And before I retired, I was senior vice president for all 58 community colleges, and I sit on boards and things like that. So I was really trying to separate those two things. I was like, okay. And I would even say, the minister part of my life or the corporate part of my life. And I would tell you, I couldn't figure out my assignment because I was running in two different directions. And then finally, I said, Lord, you've got to give me some help. You've got to show me how to bring these two things together. And then the Lord just showed me through mentorship. I had my own mentors, and through mentorship and just through prayer and through fasting, that look, I made you Saundra, who has these particular gifts, and you use those gifts for these particular assignments. And that's where the concept of that, now I tell people that my assignment is that I am a believer, I'm an achiever, and I'm a leader. Those are, if anybody wants to have, like, there were three words that describe me. Those are the three words that I would say: achiever, believer, achiever, and leader. And it's because regardless of where I am or what I'm doing, whether I'm in the pulpit or whether I'm in the boardroom, that's who I am. And I don't try to have this part of me and have that part of me, because that just doesn't work. I'm Saundra and three things that I am all the time.
And and that's so strong and so powerful. And I know you have a strong leadership background. What would you say is the thing that really gave you that confidence the most, of the culmination of the things that you have studied yourself?
Well, I'll tell you, the things that gave me the most confidence were, and this isn't going to sound pretty, but it was the good, the bad, and the ugly that I had to experience as a leader. So many times people think they see where you are now, and they don't realize that in order to get here, there had to be failures. There had to be horrible things that happened to me. People saying different things. You get blamed for different things. When you get to a level of leadership where you're one of one, right? Then it gets more difficult, because it is lonely. Leadership can be lonely. And so, but in order to get there, in order to do well, I had to understand that regardless of what happened to me was good, whether it was bad, whether it was ugly, that all of those things were the curriculum that I needed to be able to do leadership. That regardless of what happened, I had to learn from it. And I had to learn what to do, and I had to learn what not to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk so openly about the authenticity of leadership, where you are now, and for those who you mentor and coach, and that whole process. And I think that's so hard. It's so hard for people to walk in their true authenticity. And one of the things that I've learned through my journey is that it's necessary. That's one of the things that gave me confidence to do the things that I need to do, that being authentic to myself. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, being authentic as a leader yourself and how you help others in that process.
Yes, ma'am. Well, one of the things that I learned about authenticity is that when you're authentic, people will treat you as to how you are yourself. Meaning that if
Mm-hmm.
I'm wishy, people are going to treat me wishy-washy, right? If I don't know and if I'm not confident in what I'm doing, then people are going to treat me that way. And so I had to learn that I had to learn to be who I am wherever I am. And that's one of the taglines that I tell people all the time, whether I'm sure I've told you that 100 times. You have to be who you are wherever you are. I don't step down from being a believer regardless of where I am. I don't step
Mm-hmm.
down from being a leader wherever I am, even if I'm not leading, my mind is
Mm-hmm.
always thinking. My questions are leadership types of questions. And an achiever. I know there's an assignment that God has for me, and I know I have to achieve that assignment. And so being a believer, a leader, and an achiever, that's my authenticity. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
show that's how I show up every time I show up. And so
Yeah.
I speak to my mentees and tell them, how do you need to show up? You can't show up like me. You have to show up how God made you. And once you
Mm-hmm.
understand is and you walk in that, then you will have the confidence to move forward. You'll have the confidence to do whatever it is that God has called you to do, whether it's in the church, whether it's in ministry, whether it's in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're spotlighting you this month and we're highlighting various women, I really want to go back to the foundation of some of the things that you did early on, that are still with you, and you're still able to inspire, encourage, and uplift others with the Teach Academy. That's something that you started years and years and years and years ago. And I see it's an
Mhm.
acronym. Can you break Teach Academy down first? I know I've met so many women who first met you with Teach Academy. I feel like I
Mhm.
don't qualify to to really
Yes,
to
you
Dr. Darlene and I were fussing about whose mentor you are. We said we would share, but anyway,
do. Yes, both of you, both of
people
you.
go
Oh,
way back. Yeah.
I started Teach actually in 2004, and Teach is an acronym for
Mm-hmm.
Train and Equip for Active Christ-like Holiness. And I started Teach
Mm-hmm.
as I was growing up. I had so many questions. I mean, so many questions, and I would ask questions, and then sometimes I get in trouble for asking questions. But I did not want women to lack knowledge. The Bible tells us about knowledge, tells us about wisdom. And I didn't want women to lack that. And I knew that God had called me into the office of teacher. And I studied that office, and I made sure that I understood how do I bring that forth. And I said, well, God, how do I take this office and the gift of the office of teacher and the gift of teaching, and bring that out to your women? And so that's how Teach started. And so it started as a conference, an annual conference, and then I did a shift, and the shift went from an annual conference to sort of like a membership site. And so now it's actually now Teach Leadership Academy, and Teach Leadership
Mm-hmm.
is a an academy where women who are ministry leaders, women who are leaders in their job, or just leading in general, or
Mm-hmm.
they're aspiring to be, are part of the academy where we train and equip them to lead such that Christ is their foundation.
Yes, I love that. I think that is absolutely one of the reasons why we were connected, because
Mhm.
I didn't know about Teach when I met you. I learned
Yeah.
so much about you through the years, but God had given me the Praying CEO, which was a focus on business women coming together to put God first at the
Mhm.
helm of our businesses for Christ-like holiness, right?
Exactly.
For so many, yeah. So that's the foundation.
Mhm.
And so when I found out about Teach, and just over the years, I still learn more about you, like every conversation, it seems, that I was like, wow, God, I see what you're doing. Like, you really connected me with somebody who can lead me. At the time, I didn't know where I was going. I knew my prayer. But yeah, so And then you have so many things, so many workshops,
Mhm.
so many classes, so many different things that are, that you
Mhm.
involve yourself with and you're able to lead folks through. There's Elevate. You mentioned Elevate as well, which is that's also an acronym, correct? Elevate mentorship.
Actually, elevate is not. Elevate is a word. So it's just the word.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the word elevate. Yep. Because we want to
Okay.
be able to elevate women. And elevate focuses more on women who are in leadership in their jobs. Okay. So when you
Okay.
think about you have your job and you may be a first level or second level or even a C level manager or
Mm-hmm.
C level in your job. So elevate focuses on how you thrive being a leader with the foundation is Christ. So many
Mm-hmm.
women are Christians in the workplace. They struggle because they don't know how can I live out my Christian faith and lead an organization, and I
Mm-hmm.
won't say that I mastered it, but I was authentic in it. And people respected that authenticity. People respected the fact that, there were some things that I just wasn't going to do, So
Mm-hmm.
Elevate Mentorship, it is an 8-week mentorship, and some women do it over and over and over again, in terms of they just stay in the mentorship. It's a little bit different than Teach Leadership Academy, because again, Elevate Mentorship is focused on career, where Teach Leadership Academy is focused on leadership, regardless of where you are. So it's a little bit different.
Got it. A good
Mhm.
evening, Dr. Kenya. I know she said good evening. I had to go and peek and see because
Okay.
StreamYard, you had to give StreamYard permission. So that's Dr. Kenya. Good evening
Oh,
from
well,
Charlotte, watching us from Charlotte, North Carolina.
oh, hey.
Dr. Kenya Wallace. So, yeah. So, with that being said,
Mhm.
Elevate, Teach Academy, you have books, you're an author. We haven't talked too much about that, but would you like to talk about it? Because I know you have a new project coming up that if you would like to talk about, we
Oh,
can.
sure. I would. I'd love to. So
Okay.
I'm the author and co-author of 6 books. I love,
Mhm.
and all of them are around women in leadership.
Mhm,
and
yes.
my new upcoming book is an anthology. I always had wanted to do an anthology, and so I finally stepped out and with that vision, and said, okay, I'm going to do it. Got the help needed to do it, and so still working on bringing in co-authors for that. But that book is
Mhm.
around women who balance pay and purpose, and so it's
Mhm.
women that work full time, but at the same time, they're either running a business or running a ministry. And so we want to be able to give women strategies on how you can do both. So many people think, well, I can't start this ministry because I work full time. I don't have the time. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's not that you can't do it. It's that maybe your priorities are in the wrong place. You have to shift your priorities. And so here's a little mentoring nugget I guess I want to pour out here. When God gives you an assignment, you may have to shift the priorities that you're doing to be able to complete the assignment that God has given you. And so many times, I know, and
So true.
I've struggled with this as well, is I don't want to shift my priorities. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to change anything. But what I've come to understand is that it's not up to me. My assignment
Mhm.
is from God, and so if God says, well, Saundra, when he said to start, for example, Elevate Mentorship, I was like, well, God, I already have Teach. Why do I need to do Elevate Mentorship? Because the audiences are a little bit different. They have similar
Mhm.
issues, but the audiences are a little bit different. This one, Elevate, focuses on career. So when the Lord gave me this anthology, I was like, okay, God, I'm going to do this. I know it's going to help women everywhere, because so many of us struggle with a call from God and working full time. How can,
Mhm.
or it may be a call from God and you're a full-time mom, and you're like, how can I do both of these? And you can. And when you think about when God calls you to do something, he also equips you to do it. Or let me rephrase
Mhm.
it. When God calls you to do something, he's already equipped you to do it. So many people think, well, God's called me and then he'll equip me. No, he's already equipped you with the experiences, with the wisdom, with the knowledge,
Mhm.
with things that you've already experienced. And so that equipping he's given you, and then he gives you the assignment. And then when he gives you the assignment that he has for you, well, then he'll give you the provisions and the things that you need to do the assignment. But don't think that because God gives you something, you may look at it and say, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I don't know how to do this. Then don't put those kind of limits on yourself, because God has already equipped you. Now, what you have to do is take the first step to walk out and say, I'm going to do this. God, I don't know how. I don't know how I'm going to get it done. I don't know all the ins, the outs of being able to do this assignment, but I'm going to have faith and I'm going to step out and do it. And the minute you step out and you have that faith, watch God begin to give you what you need. So here's another one of my little mentorship sayings that I always say is that when you move, God will position you for more. When you move, God will position you for more. If you don't move, why should God give you more? Right?
Right.
So
Right.
when God gives you the assignment, move with it. Regardless of whether you know all that you need or not, still move with that assignment.
Yeah. That makes me think about so much, that scripture of if God can't trust you with little, why would he be able to trust you with more, with much? And a lot of times we associate that with finance, with money, of course. But so to the to the point, if God gives you something and you move, then he could trust you with more. I just really feel like, I know that you know yourself, and you know that your woman is not a person who's just starting off fresh, but you can still encourage her through that, through some of the other resources. But your one-on-ones, well, I don't think you're doing that as much anymore, but even the group coaching, you kind of know what your assignment is, who you're assigned to at this season of your life. And you talked about seasons a little bit earlier. So what was that process like for you? We sort of touched on it a little bit, but for somebody listening who needs it, like, fifth grade level, what is that assignment? I mean, what is that process for you to get to the place where you know exactly who you're supposed to work with, so you can clearly walk that out?
Well, it takes, number one, it takes time. Well, let me back up. Number one, it takes continuous prayer. Number two, it takes time. And then number three, it takes effort and work together. And what I mean by time is that you may be working with all different kinds. For me, I was working with all different kinds of women at all different levels. But then I had to realize where my gifting was. Okay. So my gifting, can I help someone who was just starting out? Yes, I can. But I know my gifting is with those women who probably are already in leadership or who have the characteristics and aspire to go there. So that process came from actually working in different areas, working with women who just starting out, working with women who, may not have the level of confidence. Now, I'll give you an example. Like right now, my cousins and I in Richmond County, because I'm from Rockingham, Little Philly, shout out, right? Kim has been down there. She's seen Little Philly, right?
Yeah.
So we wrote a grant to be able to work with women who make under a certain amount of money and who may not have all the resources and things that they need to start their businesses. And so someone asked me, well, Dr. Saundra, why did you do that? That usually you're working with women who are already in leadership. Well, the thing here is that I knew I had something to pour into these women, because sometimes, when you're working with your audience or working with the people that God has called you to, there's also that time where that some of your gifts and your abilities that God has given you, you may have to pour it into a different audience as well. And so every other weekend for the next 6 weeks, I'll be in Rockingham working with these ladies, and I love it. And I tell you what, they bring out more. How do I say it? They pull more out of me, sometimes than someone who has been in leadership forever. So these are women that are aspiring to be leaders, and they just need someone to help push them there. And so we decided to go ahead and do that. But you can't leave people behind because you get to a certain step as well. Sometimes I see people that say, well, I'm only going to work with this type of audience. So that's fine, but don't forget where you came from as well.
Right.
And that's part of my business where, I give, I call that my being able to give back, that sort of thing. But as you move forward, as you move up, the only way you're going to find out who exactly it is that you continue to work with everybody, and then you see where it is that your gifts are most needed, whose struggle needs your gift the most. And like right now, people that need my gift the most are those who are working full time, those who are in ministry, and those who need that level of leadership development and career development. Now, I might next week, or I don't know how God is going to change that. You know what I'm saying? So I stay open, I stay flexible, such that if God says, I want you doing and working with this group, then I'm going to do that. But right now, I know that through work, I think somebody put up there, what were the three things?
Yeah.
It was prayer, it was time. Oh, and it was work and effort. Work and effort was number three. And work and effort together means you have to constantly work with women or whoever you're called to. You have to constantly work with that group to see what is the struggle that I am the answer to. What is the struggle that these women have that my gifts, my calling, my abilities are the answer to. Because I tell people all the time, you are not called to every woman. God did not call you and what you do to every single woman in the world. He called you to a specific group that has a specific problem. And and what you've done, you are the response to that problem. You are the answer. Your programs are the answer to that. Your mentorship is the answer to that. But it does take prayer, it takes time, and it takes work and effort to be able to walk through all of that to get to a point where you can say, you know what, I know who God has called me to. But again, that doesn't mean that you don't help other people. It means that you know, if you're running a business, that this is who my business is going to be for. That sort of thing. Good question.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're wrapping up the first quarter. We're wrapping up the first quarter of the year. And we have so much more year left, right? I know we have a lot of year left though. So when you came into 2024, a lot of times people have like a theme word or a theme thought or initiative or a focus for the year. I want to ask you if you did have something along those lines for your business or even for yourself, what that was, to share with us. As you know, I want to see what's in your head when it came to stepping into 2024.
Well, you know what? I had several, and I actually published one of them within Vision Building Women. But as the Lord has been dealing with me through this particular quarter, because I looked at my calendar over here and I went, oh my goodness, Sunday is the end of first quarter. Have I done, or how have I done what the Lord showed me at the beginning of the year? And that word is impact. How are you going to impact the people that God has called you to? And and the way that I see people being impacted is, like, for example, I look at you and I see you doing this. I'm like, oh yeah, I've done something right, Lord. I remember when I first met you and you were like, no, I don't want to get in front. No, I don't want to get on. I'm like, oh, here you got so much to share. And I said, and you're beautiful on top of it. Let people look at you, And then Pastor Darlene, when I look at her and I look at her conferences coming up, I look at my other mentees. I have mentees that are Carrie Dixon, who's a chancellor, Elizabeth City State University. I look at other mentees.
Alma mater.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I look at women who are elected officials who I mentor, and I look at them and I say, okay, how are they impacting the people that God has called them to? And when I can see how they're impacting the people that God has called them to, then I can say, okay, then I've done the impact that I'm supposed to do, because I pour into them. So I pour into you all. And so through Teach Academy, through Teach Leadership Academy, and then through Elevate Mentorship, that is the way of being able to pour into women, being able also to write to women, I'm a speaker as well. And so when somebody leaves a conversation with me, I want them to be ignited to impact somebody, whether it's just one person or whether it's 1,000 people. I want the gifts inside of them to be stirred. One of my my ministry mentor, Dr. Apostle Shirley R. Brown, she always said, when someone leaves your presence, your gifting in them Your gifting in you should stir up their gifting in them. And so that's how I want to leave my presence. After a conversation with me, I want you to go, oh, I got to go do this. I want to do this. I'm excited about this. Because my gifts are different than your gifts. So I want my gifts to stir up your gifts so you can do what God has called you to do.
Yes, I'm going to echo what B. Jacqueline Jeter said. Your impact is priceless.
Bless
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Bless you.
And
Bless you.
that's why I always just brought everywhere I go, I'm talking about my mentor. I think I might have told you this before. We talk about so much, but I wasn't really into mentors and all of that stuff before. Yeah, I was like, what? I got this. Like, I believed in apprenticeship for the job. So, define, learn, do, that made sense to me. But what do I need to talk to you for? Like, that's how I was. And it wasn't like a haughtiness or anything. It was just a misunderstanding. I saw many people have mentors, but it didn't seem to impact. And they were still struggling. And I just didn't see the need for that. But I will tell you that I was behind the scenes. People think I naturally network. People think I naturally speak because I'm outgoing. But yes, I was like, that's okay. I'll do my little visionary networking circle group and support this, group of people right here. And I'm good. Now people ask me to speak, facilitate those things all the time, but it took a mentor, somebody, I didn't even know she was my mentor at the time, but somebody speaking life into me and encouraging me to be at this point. That's what I tell people all the time. That's what I now can share with others. And so, I bless God for you.
That's true. Can I share something? I saw a video of you, and I can't remember if it was LinkedIn or if it was Facebook, but it was you and it was 3 other ladies. And I think I'm not sure if you all have already had this conference or the conference is coming up, but you all were walking. You all were walking towards a camera. Y'all were all dressed up, and the 4 of you were walking towards the camera. Yeah, and I looked at that video and I said, look at her. I am just so proud of her. I am just so proud because I remember the day when you wouldn't even get in front of the camera. But again, here's the thing. The giftings in you just had to be stirred up. It wasn't that the giftings were not there, because your gifting of networking and talking and communication and your gifting of teaching and all the other gifts that you had, they have always been there. Just like everyone who may be listening to this tonight, your gifts have always been there. But you have to be around someone who stirs up that gift. What is that scripture that talks about Mary and Elizabeth? Remember when Mary and Elizabeth got in each other's presence, and when Mary was in the presence of Elizabeth, the Bible speaks that the baby in her leaped.
Yes.
Remember that? Well, here's the thing. Leaping in the womb is virtually impossible. A baby cannot leap in the womb. That is physically impossible. Right? You cannot leap based on the definition of leap. You cannot leap. So that's what I'm saying. When someone who can mentor you comes into your presence, then what is inside of you that you have felt has been utterly impossible, God can make possible. But you've got to be able to to pray, take the time, and do the work to make it happen. And so that's what I tell the women that I work with, that yes, you can get to where God has you to go, but you've got to do those 3 things, and you've got to do them often, and you've got to allow people to pour into you. So as you can tell, I love mentoring, I love helping women. So I can talk all night on this.
Oh, and we love you. So this has been amazing. I am so glad to end this Women's History Month Spotlight series with my mentor, Dr. Saundra Wall Williams. I did not even set it up like this. It just happened this way. And God knows what He is doing, and He is in control. Anybody that tries to book for tomorrow or the 31st, you are short. But no, the 31st is Resurrection Sunday. So I think that's what most people were probably thinking about anyway. But yeah, this is perfect on Good Friday to end this series with you in the Praying CEO group in collaboration with the Collaboration Culture podcast. I do want to shout out the fact that you have a group called Vision Building Women that I am a part of, and actually probably most of the people in the comments are also a part of. Pray, take time, and do the work. Hey, Pastor Jocelyn.
Hey, Pastor Jocelyn.
Yeah. So I want to shout that group out. Is there anything you want to share about Vision Building Women before we wrap?
No, join the group. The group is free to join. We're in there all the time. I'm actually getting ready to do a monthly teaching series in that group. Not necessarily a series, but monthly teaching. I was doing weekly teaching a long time ago. But, you get to a point where you realize, okay, it's too much on me. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself. And so I moved that to a monthly teaching, and it's going to be phenomenal. I tell you, the way the Lord has given it to me, the way he has just designed it all out, I'm excited about it. So please join the group. It's called Vision Building Women, and it's a Facebook group. So please join that. Go there now, join it, and then put your email so I can send you emails as well.
Yes. So that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen for those who are wondering the name Vision Building Women. So it's going to come across in just a minute, and then you can go and join it. You can go and join it. But if you follow Dr. Saundra, you will, and any of us, we can direct you to Vision Building Women. Yes. So if you would like more information, just reach out to me. And Pastor Darlene said, I felt like your influence, Dr. Saundra Wall Williams, made the stage I stood on in Paris possible. And she says, thank you.
Bless you. That is so sweet. Yes. But again, she had the gifts. I just pulled them out. She had it. Just like someone did it for me. Apostle Shirley Brown did it for me. And now I do it for the women that I work with and that I serve as well.
Absolutely. So this has been an honor. For those of you who have never heard of the Praying CEO before, be sure to follow our group. We pray every morning at 7:30 with a different intercessor. So if you like to start your day in prayer, please join us, especially prayer over your business. Please join us. But we pray about everything. People ask me, how much is it? Because we do have a membership with the Praying CEO. How much is it to come and pray? It's free. It's free. Come and bring your heart to the group, open to receive what the Lord would have for you, and we will join together in prayer. So we meet monthly and have been since I started the group December 2016. We're in our 7th, going on 8th year, where we have met every month. And so we're consistently growing. And so please be a part of the things we have going on, whether you're a member, subscription member or not. We would love to have you. And then you can get poured into by women like Dr. Saundra, women like Pastor Darlene, who was on last night, women like Minister B. Jacqueline Jeter, who was on last week. Women like Pastor Jocelyn, who's one of the prayer intercessors and actually leads the Praying CEO, and so many others. So let's see. Make sure to join when Dr. Saundra opens up her masterclass teachings. Yes. Oh, yes, Pastor Darlene, 2016. Yes. Wow. So,
I remember us being downtown when you started that.
Yes, I remember I called you and text you like, hey, I'm starting this thing. Can you be there?
We were there pushing you like, do this, this is great.
Yeah, it didn't have a name then. It was just ladies in business who pray and have tea. But
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it did have a name. But so thank you so much. I love you dearly. You guys, make sure to follow Dr. Saundra. And this is wrapping up Women's History Month Spotlight. You all have an amazing rest of your evening. Join us back here for the Collaboration Culture Podcast the first week of April. The second Tuesday of April, where we'll have a guest, new shows, new season. Actually, April will be our 6th year. 6th year as a media company. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, 6 years. I kind of stay with stuff, don't I?
You do. It's awesome.
I'm a little consistent. Thank you, Pastor Darlene. She said I'm amazing. You're amazing too. Love y'all. Love each of y'all. You have a great night.
Y'all
see you next time. Bye-bye.
This has been a Coffee and Collaborations media production.